So Verdansk has been out for a couple of weeks, and as someone who made a video on this channel about being a casual player and leaving Warzone and Call of Duty simply because there was really no good content for me, I thought I would do a video kind of following up on that since there has been a big content update with Verdansk. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the changes that I think Warzone could do, some that are practical, some that are less practical, and some that are so insanely impractical, but I think could actually be pretty fun. Because for me, Warzone has one problem, and it's content. Cheaters, server issues, all that stuff is absolutely something that we're going to talk about in the video, and they are issues, but for me, the game was boring. There was nothing really to do, and that's what I talked about in my last video when I talked about Warzone. So to talk a little bit about my situation with the game, I've been playing Call of Duty for a long time, but I've never really mained Call of Duty as like a main game. I would say that I was relatively sweaty, but as the game got worse, I decided to just stop playing it more and more, mostly because other games came out, other games that were better to play. But there was always a point in Warzone where I said, do I keep playing this and grinding it and trying to get better at the game, or do I go and play things that are more fun? When Caldera hit, I played for about 6 months and then I left. When Modern Warfare 2 came out, I played for about 4 months and then left. When the Modern Warfare 3 Warzone integration happened, I played for like 3 months and then I left, with each time getting shorter and shorter because really I played mostly to get camos done, and then I played Warzone with my friends, and then the updates that they had were few and far between in terms of content changes that were major in some way. Limited time modes, stuff like that. We'll get into that here in a minute. And so I have gone from a more sweaty player to a much more casual player. And the footage you'll be seeing in the background is from the casual mode. So this is sort of more of just a fun little video, and I want to hear your all's suggestions down below for different things that you would like to see added. We're going to have fun in the comments. I want to hear discussion. What do you guys think about the current state of Warzone? What do you want to see added to it or changed or what have you? And of course, we can always agree and disagree, but let's not be rude about it. Let's not be mean about it. This is meant to just have fun. So let me talk about some of the more practical changes that I think Warzone could make to have a bit of a better experience overall. And of course, this is all coming from a very casual perspective. So if you are a more sweaty player, you probably won't like this, but I am a casual big map enjoyer. I just saw a tweet not too long ago of people saying, well, Resurgence didn't get any really big updates and now I'm bored of playing Resurgence. Well, buddy, welcome to the past year and a half of Urzikstan big map. We got nothing for like a year and a half in terms of anything good, and the Resurgence crowd mostly got those updates, and that's fine. I'm glad that they are updating, but it does seem that Call of Duty does have a big problem with balancing their content load in terms of what they update. If they are focusing an update on one area in particular, like they did with Verdansk, then the rest of the game tends to get less content and suffer for it. And that has always been the issue. I don't know if there's a way to alleviate that, but that's on them to figure it out. I like Verdansk as it is, and I like the map. I am okay with the TTK as it is. I think the guns are all fairly good if you're using a Black Ops 6 weapon. I don't have a problem with any of that stuff, but let's talk about the servers. So the TTK is a good deal faster than it was. I don't believe it is faster than what the original Verdansk TTK was, but regardless, it is a faster TTK than what we have been used to. And the problem is that the servers really are doing a bad job, in my opinion, of reflecting that. I said the same thing back when Warzone 2 happened, that if you are going to have a really fast TTK, you are going to run into massive desync issues. If you don't know how servers work, I highly suggest going and looking up a video about tick rate, maybe from the Tactical Brit or whoever. He explains it very well. But essentially, the tick rate for Warzone servers, I think is like in the 20s or something. It's very, very low. And when you have a TTK this low, or at least this quick, you have got to have a better tick rate so that people can absolutely have some sort of time to react to being shot at. And you see this in particular in the Gulag, because there are so many times in the Gulag where the gunfights feel very weird, as in they're very inconsistent, because I could be sitting there shooting a guy 4, 5, 6 times and hitting him 4, 5, 6 times and then get 2-tapped by that same dude and get killed instantly. And there have been plenty of times in the gulag where I have done this exact thing, watched the kill cam of the guy who killed me, and maybe 3 or 4 of the bullets said they hit on my screen, never hit on their screen. So maybe there's some hit reg issues in the gulag, that kind of thing. But it does seem very much like you could be in a firefight absolutely winning it and just instantly die. And I wonder if that's a server tick rate issue, or if there's like a desync or some sort of packet issue. But having higher tick rate servers has been something a lot of people have requested for a long time, and it seems that they have been trying to do everything within their power to make it seem like kills are not as fast without just upgrading the servers, because that would probably cost them more money than they want to do. But at the end of the day, that's the solution, I think, upgrading the servers. Okay, the HDR. Now, I am a big fan of one-shot snipers. I know a lot of people don't like it. I'm a big fan of one-shot snipers when I'm not the one getting sniped in the head. I think that's pretty much everybody's thought on one-shot snipers. I think the HDR is very strong, and I do not want it to be changed except for maybe one way. So if you're getting shot at while you have the HDR, the flinch is more severe, maybe. I think that that would help balance it out quite a bit, because it does seem like right now, if you are challenging somebody or you're ego challenging somebody who is shooting at you with an HDR, there's a very high chance that you are just going to get shot in the head even if you are hitting them. So maybe adding more flinch to the HDR is a solution to that. There's also another solution to that: buffing other weapons. I think buffing other sniper rifles so that they are one shot at unlimited ranges, or increasing their overall range in general, would help keep the HDR in check. Because I think there are a lot of people who have other sniper rifles that they're more comfortable with, that they would be able to challenge those other snipers who are using the HDR, but they can't because that sniper only has a certain range for one-shot headshots. But I think that they should look back at the arsenal of weapons that we already have and buff those as well. We have over 200 weapons in this game, and the only ones that are worth using are from Black Ops 6, and they've been doing this since Warzone came out. I get that, it's not lost on me, but if you're going to keep the guns from 2 previous games, I would like to see them buff those weapons to be usable, because as of right now, the guns from Modern Warfare 2, you shouldn't ever use them. You should never touch them, because the amount of shake that they have, the amount of visual clutter coming out of the muzzle, the visual recoil, the damage ranges, everything, they're mostly unusable. The Modern Warfare 3 guns have kind of fallen into that same space where there's no point in using any of them because they kind of suck for the most part. Don't get me wrong, some of the guns are okay, but they're not nearly as competitive as the BO6 guns. Why would you ever use anything other than the Black Ops 6 guns? And I know that the reason that they do this is because they're not selling bundles for the Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3 guns anymore unless you go into those games themselves. They're only selling stuff for BO6 stuff, and so there's no point in going back to the old items to fix those. It's not financially viable. My counter to that would be, if you're not going to make new content for those guns, and if nobody's using them to begin with, can you at least remove Modern Warfare 2's weapons from the game? And in doing so, it would then at least give you an excuse to say, hey, we're making the file size for the game smaller. Oh, there's like 90 guns we're getting rid of, or 106 guns we're getting rid of. Oh, look at that, it's saving you 10 gigs of space on your hard drive. That would be kind of cool. And then the final thing is more limited time modes, or LTMs. In the original Verdansk, we had Clash, which was like 50v50 team deathmatch in an area on the map, and I think it moved actually. Then we had things like Juggernaut Royale. We had things like Payload. It was a mode where you had an attacking and defending team, and you pushed 2 giant Bertha trucks from point A to point B, kind of like war mode. Armored Warfare was a mode where you had a Bertha that had a machine gun on the top of it, and you could put money into it to upgrade it and make it armored and make it better, and you basically had to be the last truck standing to win the game, and it changed the entire way that you played the game, and it was so stupid and fun. I want to see more modes like that. I want to see limited time modes that completely change the way you play the game. Because the last few times that they have done this, they've done things like the Squid Game mode, which, don't get me wrong, adding in some Squid Game elements is kind of neat or whatever. I didn't play the mode myself, but it definitely seemed like it didn't really change the way the game was played that much. I'm looking for like whole new game modes, things to do to keep me playing the game when Battle Royale itself becomes more boring. Because Call of Duty cares the most about retention metrics. They want people to play the game for as long as possible. And the reason for that is the longer you play the game, the more times you'll most likely interact with the store, and at some point, you'll probably end up buying something. That's what they're banking on. And for a company that focuses so much on retention, they do so little to actually keep their players playing. And in my opinion, it's really sad and kind of crappy when an update comes out or an LTM or an event comes out, and the event is quite literally, here's a battle pass, give me more money for this event pass, and also all you have to do is earn XP. It doesn't matter how you get XP, you're just earning XP. Wah wah, it's kind of boring. At least with the Verdansk event, you had to go and find chests. And it didn't really change how you played the game, you're just looting, but you had to go to different zones and it forced you to visit different areas of the map, find a chest, and then you got some loot for it. It was a little bit different. And then also you had the skin that you could get that was relatively rare. You know, that gave people a reason to jump back in to get the skin and that kind of thing if that's what you're into. It didn't really change the way the game played, but we also had Verdansk, so that helps it too. The current mode, the Black Ops tribute thing, is kind of bad in my opinion. It's always nice to get free items. I'm not complaining about free items, but how you get them, kind of boring. Okay, let's talk about less practical things that, if they ever did something like this, should definitely be put in a limited time mode. But I'm thinking day-night cycle. Having Verdansk with a day-night cycle, so that way you could have a gun that has a thermal or night vision and actually make those scopes used or usable, or something along those lines. A day-night cycle would be really cool, because I think that the lighting in Verdansk is actually okay. Their lighting has always been an issue, but I think right now it's in an okay place. And I think having a day-night cycle would be kind of neat, actually, for the map. It would give you basically the same map, but two different ways of playing it. I don't know. Food for thought. It's just an idea. Remember, these are all just ideas to throw out there. I think another thing they could do in relation to day-night is weather. Things like thunderstorms or snow. I think in Al-Mazrah they did like a dust storm, and on Vondel they did fog, and it was very intrusive and annoying. I think a lot of people hated that. And I think there's maybe a way you could do it and have some sort of balance, but once again, you make those limited time modes so that they don't intrude on the main game itself. And I think that would be something that might be kind of cool to mess with, because if we are talking about weather, let's move into the things that are more insane and very, very much out of the realm of practical. And I'm talking seasonal changes to Verdansk, not as in seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm talking summer, winter, fall, and spring. I'm talking about that. Have a summer version of Verdansk where the game is bright and sunny and the water at the dam is melted and you can swim in the water, but that would be the only place you could swim outside of the ocean, not in those channels. I'm talking winter where everything is frozen down to the ocean. The ocean is not frozen, but all the way down through there. And everything is snowy and white, and you would have to find ways to deal with that because noir skins are going to stand out like a sore thumb. Spring, you know, I believe the game is technically set in spring, so they don't have to do anything for that. Fall, where the leaves are orange and changing and beautiful, and there's a lot that they could do with this, but they just don't. And with those, you would have different forms of weather. That might be kind of cool. But something else that is super insane that I thought of, and I'm just basically stealing this from Battlefield and basically Battlefield 4, Levolution. I think it would be cool if Verdansk had a form of Levolution. Let's say you bring back Nakatomi Tower, which would be really cool as well. But let's be honest, downtown sucks. Nobody likes downtown. It's a crappy area to fight. Would it be cooler if you could knock down Nakatomi Tower and crash it into the city as a player? Not as some scripted event or something like that. You do it Levolution style, where you go in, you could shoot out the structures or the supports of Nakatomi Tower, or go through as a team and plant C4 on struts and structures and then set it off with a timer, and then you have to leave, and then once it goes off, the tower falls into downtown, crashing into other buildings and completely changing the landscape of how downtown looks and is even played. Think of it in the style of when Cold War came out and they destroyed downtown, or at least part of downtown, in that like explosive earthquake that they created. That could be kind of cool, right? And it would be player driven. You would have to do that as a player. And if you're in the tower, you would get a notification the tower is about to fall, and you'd have to get out of there, or else the tower would fall with you in it and you would die. Things like that. Or heck, even if you had a team that went up to Dam and blew out the bottom part of Dam, just like the one level in Battlefield 4. And also the tower, that's from Battlefield 4 as well. The Chinese tower that falls, they literally did that in that game, and it was awesome. And then the same thing with Dam, where you blow out the dam and it floods the entire level. That would be pretty cool to do to Verdansk also. Making downtown completely underwater, you either have to swim or you have to use boats. And if you're on the rooftop of buildings, let's say you could, as a team or as a player, go and construct horizontal zip lines to let you go from rooftop to rooftop. And if you want to jump off a building, you could fall into the water and survive and swim away. Stuff like that would be pretty neat. It would change the landscape of the map. It would change everything about it. I think it would be really cool. But once again, LTMs. You test everything in an LTM first. You don't push it to main. I'm just throwing out spitballs here because stuff like this is what keeps me interested. It keeps me coming back. And if I'm playing a battle royale, it lets me be creative. It lets me think about different things that I could possibly do outside of just, okay, let's rotate to the high ground. Okay, we're gonna hold this team. Yeah, I shot the guy again. Hey, we won. I mean, Call of Duty's campaigns are these big, huge, cinematic Michael Bay style films. They're big, dumb action games. They always have been, and that's fine. I love that. I just wish that their multiplayer reflected the same thing. And maybe that's just me. Those are just my thoughts. Some suggestions, some goofy, I think some more practical. And if you guys have suggestions, leave them down below. Be respectful, be kind, and I will see you guys next time.